All right. So my name is Pawan Oberoi. Welcome to the webinar on Whiteboard.chat. Thanks everybody for joining us today, spending your valuable time with us to learn more about Whiteboard and also give us your feedback. So the way we do our webinars, we request you to please type your questions on the Zoom chat, and once in a while my colleague is going to read them out to me so we can answer them as we go along. We will also get to the questions you submitted when you signed up for the webinar at the end of the session. So Whiteboard.chat essentially is built by a company called Epiphany, which I'm part of. It is a small startup based in the Bay Area in California. So it came out, this was not our main product. We started to build something else, and then the COVID-19 hit, and we took parts of what we were building and we created Whiteboard.chat. So, and since then it's gaining in popularity quite a bit. I'll show you that. But the agenda for today is that I'll give you a quick introduction to Whiteboard. We'll show you all the new features and also all the existing features of Whiteboard.chat. And then I'll invite you to have a live experience as a student with us, right? And then we'll get to the question and answers. But we'll also do question and answers as we go along, right? So what we are trying to build with Whiteboard.chat is a observability and an engagement platform, right? There are learning management systems that exist that you guys are more familiar with than I am, right? But it fits really nicely with them. You can put links or even embed Whiteboard.chat and things like Canvas, right? So people can use it directly. The students don't even need to leave it. They can use it within Canvas directly. I'll show you how some of those things are done. And then it works really well, just like we're using Zoom now. It works with Google Meet and Microsoft Teams as well. So we do have an inbuilt video conferencing, but it's a fallback that if you want to get to, we recommend some of these other ones which are better suited to do video and audio conferencing. But where Whiteboard.chat shines is essentially this, right? Is the observability and engagement. So the teacher, imagine that you're in a classroom. When you're in a physical classroom, you walk around the class, you can look over each kid's shoulder as to what they're doing and help them at any given time. But what Whiteboard.chat allows you to do is that you can watch all the students in real time as they're doing their work, and that increases engagement by increasing observability. Some of the teachers who have used this, they told us that engagement, even from students who were not engaged in class in person, has gone up tremendously after they see how the teachers can see their work in real time and where they're struggling, where they're doing well, and then the teachers can join their boards and give them help on a one-on-one basis as well. And it's all real time, right? So that's the beauty of the platform. And like I said, it's used around the world. We have, oh wow, so I didn't even know that. So we have reached 20,000 users a day now, right? And it's gaining popularity all around the world. It's primarily used in the US, and I think Israel just became number 2 last week. So it's gaining in popularity in Israel as well. And then of course, it is used all around the world as India, Brazil, China. It's pretty much used everywhere you can see on the map here. And it was launched just in August, so it's a fairly new platform. You guys are pioneers. You will find issues. We are really active on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter. We love feedback. So again, how we built Whiteboard.chat was we put in the basic platform first, and then we sat back and listened to teachers. The teachers told us, go do this, add some math manipulators. We went and added math manipulators, right? So we are here to listen to you, find where the problems are, where we can improve. So please send us emails about feedback to our feedback alias, which is feedback@whiteboard.chat. We have a dedicated room on Facebook, a group on Facebook, which is called Teachers Using Whiteboard.chat, where teachers share not only how they use it, but they help each other. They also share their lessons on that group, so which is fairly interesting. So if you're on Facebook, please join that. And of course, we are on Instagram and Twitter too, if you want to follow us. But keep sending us your feedback. That is most important. So with that said, and oh, I forgot to mention, this is completely free. We are not charging any money for the platform, right? So you can continue using it as long as you want to, right? We are not going to charge any educators any money for using this platform. So with that said, I'm going to start showing you what it can do. So it's pretty straightforward. It's a web-based platform. There's no app to install. It works across a slew of devices. It works really well on Chromebooks, um, on laptops, on Macs, on PCs. It works fairly well on iPads. It works on mobile devices as well, but it's a little bit clunky because the screens are smaller. But all you really need to do is go to whiteboard.chat, right? There are two modes. As soon as you hit the start drawing, there are two modes. One is a collaboration mode, which is a single board where all the participants end up on the same board and they can draw and write just like a regular whiteboard, like a Zoom whiteboard would do, right? But the more interesting one is the start teaching mode, where there is where you can create, assign, and live teach individual boards which are created automatically, and you can observe all of them in real time, which is what we are going to focus on at this time. Right, so you hit this. We also have a privacy and terms of agreement on the bottom left if you or your district wants to know more about it. Privacy is super important to us, so please read. We are COPPA compliant from a student perspective as well, so please read if you really want to know about that. So you hit the start teaching, right? It takes you to the whiteboard, right? So the basic whiteboard is you can start drawing. So you can just use your mouse, start drawing, writing stuff, whatever you want, just like a marker on a whiteboard, right? You can change the thickness of the pen by using the slider on the bottom left, or bottom right, sorry. And then you can make it skinnier or fatter. You can change colors by clicking this link in the box here, and you can see the whole thing changes to the color you're drawing with. Kids really like that, right? They like to personalize it to their favorite color. You have a dashed line built in as well, so if you want to draw dashed lines, you can do that by clicking this button here. There's an opacity, like a highlighter built in as well, so you can change the opacity of your pen, so you can use it as a highlighter, for example. Right, all of these basic things are on this right hand side. There's on the left hand side, there's a toolbar which you can open up, and if you click the button on the top, it opens up. You can read what all of these tools do. You can of course mouse over them, but you can open it up too if you want to. And the basic thing is a text thing. You can actually use text input, like you can just click anywhere on the screen and start typing, and it'll put the text box where you want it to be, right? And you can just keep typing there. So it's very convenient to use for short text input that you want. There's a built-in eraser, of course. You can erase objects, right, if you want to. Anytime you want to go back to your default tool, which in this case is my brush, I can press escape. It'll take you back to your default tool. Right, there's a slew of other tools here, which I will show you in the tools menu. You can draw lines, for example, right? And there is a arrow, there's a circle, rectangles. You can draw rectangles if you want to, right? There is a post-it note, right, which you can write upon, right? In this tools menu, the wrench or the spanner is where the tools are. Right, there's an infinite cloner built in, so any object you want to clone, you can keep cloning as many times as you want to. Right? It's all built in here as well. There is a link, so if you want to put a link to a external website, for example, you can put it from here. So you can say, hey, I want to put a link to a Google website, or any other website that you want to. You can just put a link and that creates a button. So the students come here and they click the button, it'll open the link for them in a separate window, in a separate tab, so they can go to that link. Right, there's a built-in, this is fairly new, we added an embedded YouTube player in here as well, so you can actually put a YouTube video in in the chat as well, right? So if you want to go to YouTube, you can just put one of your videos. You don't want to talk about the election, so you can just get a link from one of your videos that you want to embed and just put it here, right? And then when the kids come, they can actually, they'll see it on their screens as well, and they can see the embedded YouTube video right there, right? So what else? We have a compass that we recently added as well. Math teachers love it. So there's a built-in compass that you can use to draw the circles, right? You can do constructions. You can change the size, of course, of the compass, right? You can make it smaller, bigger. The green dot makes it draw. The red dot makes it move around. And of course, the middle dot, you can move the compass to a different location, right? There's a dice that is built in as well. This is a special dice, right? So you can actually have two, or you can add more dice. This is a recent function too. You can create more or make it less, but you can program these dice as well. So you can say, hey, I want rolls which are 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 4 and 5. And then when you actually use them, it'll cheat. It'll give you the rolls in the order that you want them to. So you can use it for teaching any which way you want to. Right. So these are all the functions that are available here in the tools menu, right? One of the most interesting features that, so I'm going to clear this board, for example, right? I'm going to just clear it. So I don't know why this stuck around, but okay. So one of the most interesting things you can do is upload lessons. So if you have a multi-page PDF, for example, you can just upload it by hitting this upload button, right? You can search for your PDF. Right? So this is on my local hard drive. So I can just select my demo pages PDF file, and it'll create pages in whiteboard.chat automatically. So this is like page number 1. This is page number 2. Right? So it had 3 pages in the PDF, and it created 3 pages for me in whiteboard as well, right? So that is super easy to use. And now you're ready for your lesson, because you can type, the students can type on this, they can write, use the pen marker to draw on it. So I'll invite the student. So what you do is you go to the invite button on the top right, and then you can hit this to copy the invite URL, and then you can put this URL into your learning management system. If you have Google Classroom, or if you have Canvas, you can embed that link there, or you can give this link to the students as well, the classroom code, and they can join by that. So what I'll do is I'll share this with my colleagues so they can start joining as students. So you can see what the experience looks like. And then we can also open another window on the side in a different browser, so you can see the student experience side by side with me. Right? So on this side, what I'll do is I'll create a new private window. And then when the students click that link, the invite link, this opens up automatically, right? And it'll create a new board for them. So they'll be asked for their name when they enter it for the first time. They can give any name that will identify themselves to you, to the teachers, right? So I'll call this guy student Firefox, and they get a copy of this board, right? So they can write on it, they can type on it, right? They can do various other things with on this board. And you as a teacher, you can go to this grid view, and this is the interesting thing, right? You can watch all the students in real time. So I can change this grid to be a little bigger, so I can do a 2x2 grid instead, right? So you can see all the students. Think of this, there's a camera behind each kid's shoulder, right? So you're watching what they're doing. For example, if the Firefox student is drawing something on their screen, and you can see it live here on their camera, right? You can see them drawing live. You can click it and it will make it bigger. If they go to a different page, for example, if they're done solving the problems on this page, they go to the second page, right? You can actually see them working on the second page. Then they will be doing other stuff on the second page, right? And you can see Sid and Praveen, they are on different pages on the whiteboard and they're doing different stuff as well. But the student can never, this is all real time. So whatever the teacher does on their board gets transferred to the student in real time and vice versa. There's no pushing, there's no pulling, none of that stuff, right? It's all real time. So, and we only send the small objects, we don't send the big images. So it works fairly well with low network speed networks as well, right? So I think that said, I'm going to pause for a minute and see if there are any questions before we move on. Sid?
Yes. So there's a question about the cost of the product. So is it going to be free forever?
Yes, it's going to be free forever for educators. We are not going to charge any money for educators. There may be other use cases where we can add value in enterprises and stuff like that, where we may charge money, but for education, it's always going to be free.
Okay. Can you also show a few things that you had shown earlier? For example, the highlighter.
Sure. So I go back to my view. If you hit this, the single view, right? Then you can change the opacity of my pen. So first I can make it thicker, then you can change the opacity. You can hit this button, it automatically changes it to a lower value for you, but you can manually do it too. And then you can highlight things on the PDF that you uploaded or anywhere else.
Great. I think some users, they were unable to see all the toolbars on the long toolbar menu. So maybe I think maybe you want to talk about the scrolling up and down.
Oh yeah, so if your browser window is a little smaller, so for example, it's like this, right? You might not see all the tools. So whatever you use to scroll, right? You can scroll up and down on this toolbar as well. If you open it, it becomes more clearer, and then you can use all the tools on the scroll bar too.
And another scrolling related question about scrolling on iPads. Some students were unable to scroll.
Yeah, so on the iPad is a little tricky. We know we are going to fix that soon. But if you have an iPad, what happens is that there is a little pan button that comes on the side. Right? Actually, this works really well with multiple devices too. So for example, if I have an iPad with me, right? So if I just use the QR code and I can join this thing with my iPad window, I can try and show you what the iPad screen would look like, right? And then it'll open exactly the same. My network is not working. Okay, never mind. Oh, there you go. Nope, it doesn't like it. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is not working on my iPad for some reason. Okay, so but on the iPad screen, there's a panning button on the top right. You have to hit it, and then you can move around by gestures, and then you can lock it again to start drawing. So it's a little bit tricky to make it work, but once you get used to it, then it works fairly well. And you can use pens to write on it as well.
Okay. How did you go between pages? How do you move from page to page?
So there's a page, there's a page toolbar here at the bottom where you can scroll through pages. You can also type here directly if you want to jump to page number 1, for example. You can change the text to jump to another page.
Okay. How and when can you use the class code?
So just like the invite, so when you want to invite students, you can either give them this link, which is this URL. Make sure you give them this link, not the link from the address bar to invite, right? And you give them that link, it'll create a board for them. The students also have a choice if they are not able, if you want to read this out in a class, for example, right? They can join this with the class code as well. So they can enter the class code just by hitting, going to whiteboard.chat and hit start drawing, and then they can hit enter the class code right there, right? So then they can join the class using the class code too. and they'll end up to the same place.
Great. Would you be able to go over the PDF upload again for me, please?
Yes, sure. So what I'll do is that I can go to page 4, which is empty, right? So I'll upload a different kind of a file. It's also this image file, but I'll show you some other functions with it. So I can hit this button where it says upload file, right? And then you can look for the file that you want to upload. In this case, it's a map of continents, right? So it'll load the continent map for me, right? And it's put it here on page number 4. I can then place objects here for the students to move around. So I want them to identify with Asia, for example, with Africa, and I want them to identify where are oceans, right? And I also, for some reason, I want them to put pictures of dinosaurs in there, right? So yeah, so we don't change the script at all. So if you guys have seen our previous webinars, it's always the same, even the picture of the dinosaur. So we take a picture of the dinosaur using the snip tool, right? And we can actually paste it anywhere on the screen. So you can just do Command V on a Mac or Control V on a Windows machine. You can of course resize it as well, right? So I'll show you some of these other tools, and you can move it to the right place, right? And you can give this as a library for the students to use, right? So you can actually say, hey, students can move this object. I double click this, or I can use the select tool. I can say select this and say student can move this object. Again, use the select tool and say students can clone this object. And this one also, you can just do double click and say students can clone, right? So when you join as a student, I think some of you joined as students using my class code, which is cool. Right? So now if I go to page number 4 as a student, right, I can use the move tool, right? This is a move tool here, the arrow tool, and then you can just pick this object and say, hey, I want to imagine, remember, students can never move or change or delete objects that the teachers put in unless they make it part of this library, right? Once they make it part of the library, then they can move them around. Sorry, 1 second, let me do it on this guy. Right, so then go to page number 4, and then you can select the move tool, and then they can place Asia where it needs to go. You can place Africa where it needs to go. And for the objects that you made clonable, it'll actually make copies for the students automatically. So they can place multiple of them on their own wherever they need to. And same with the dinosaur, right? They can keep putting them there. This can be a bit emoji. It can be anything really, right? And you can have them play with it. Another interesting thing is that we have animations built into the platform as well. So you can double click any object. You can actually rotate it, right? You can actually move it around if you want to. So you can use the select tool to, for example, and move it around. So there's simple animations built into the platform that you can use or the students can use to have some fun with it as well.
So Pawan, does it have to be a PDF or can it also be a Word document?
So Word we do not support, but you have to convert the Word to a PDF. You can do it fairly easily by printing to PDF if you want to. But you can also cut and paste images just like I did. You can also cut and paste text from outside as well if you have to. Right?
Okay. Few questions about the students' view. Can the students see each other's boards?
The students can never see each other's board. So if you see here on the bottom, the students do not have the option of the grid view, right? So they can only see their views. They can never see the each other's boards unless you showcase students, which I will show you in a bit how you can showcase boards to other students as well.
Great. And then do the students have the access to all the tools?
No, so the students have limited set of tools. So for example, they don't have access to the video call, to the invite, to the new poll, right? Some of these tools on the top, the admin level tools. You can also limit the amount of tools the students have access to. So if you have younger students, you can say students see simple tools, right? Then it reduces the amount of tools that they have access to, or very simple tools, right? So then it even reduces them even much further to a very small subset of the tools that they have access to, right? So there's a really interesting tool which I should show you, which I will turn off my camera for a second, right? Because it uses my webcam. But what you can do is that we added this recently, where the student can click the add photo, right, button, and then if they have a handwritten thing, they can actually take a photo of it, and it'll put it right. The teacher can use it, or the students can use it, and it'll put it right on their board, right? So you as a teacher have the ability, even if they're doing things manually with a pen, right? You can actually see them and correct it right there live, right? So you don't need to take photos, you don't need to run through scanners, you don't need any of that stuff. You can just take a photo, and you as a teacher can join their board. I didn't show you that, and do corrections as well live on their photo, right? So it's you can collaborate with them on a one-on-one basis.
Great. There's a couple of questions about how these boards are saved and whether they can be uploaded from Google Drive. Maybe you want to cover that?
Yes, so all of the work that you're doing is automatically saved as long as the teacher creates an account. The students never need to create an account on this thing, but you can actually click this manage boards, for example. So you can, if I go back to my board, I can give it a name, right? So they say November, what is the date today? Something, East Coast. Right, so I call this November East Coast thing. If I hit this button, manage boards, I can see all of my classrooms. So I can see all of the boards, all of the lessons that I have prepared. All of that gets saved automatically, right? So I cannot. Sometimes it doesn't name it properly. I don't know why. And so again, if I go back to manage boards, no, still not. Okay, so yeah, so but essentially, okay, let me show you all the boards. So all the boards are automatically saved. You can put them in folders, right? Like for example, or your board as well as all of the student boards underneath are automatically saved. So you can go back anytime and look at them. You can look at them when the students can work on these boards in an asynchronous fashion as well, when they are at home, when they are not connected, when you are not connected, or they can work synchronously with you, right? You can choose which way to do it. And then all of the work is always available to the teacher to see at any time. They can go back and look at any of the boards and say, hey, what the student is doing, where they're struggling, right? Remember, the camera or the grid view will only show you what the student is looking at that time, but you can go back at any time and look at any of the other boards that are available. And you can also put them in folders, in subfolders. You can arrange them fairly easily by using this menu here, where you can create folders, you can rename boards, all of that stuff. Right? You can also make copies of this board. So if you want to share this with a teacher, you can go to this manage book, right? You can say send a copy to another teacher, right? You can send a copy to another teacher for them to use it in their class, or you can save a copy for yourself to save it for another section, for example, right? You can do both of those things. I'll show you some of the other cool things in a bit, where you can create bingo pages, or you can play bingo. You can publish this to a community. We just started to create a community sharing library as well, where teachers can share their work with other teachers in the community. Right? So you can publish this to the community as well. Sid, any more questions, or should we keep going?
Yeah, there are a few questions. There's one about how does Whiteboard Chat identify that this is the same returning student?
So the way Whiteboard.chat identifies that this is the same student is by puts a cookie in their browser. It's not a cookie. It puts an object in their local storage, right, which identifies the student uniquely, but it's only on their browser. right? But we have seen that some districts actually clean those objects periodically. So we have the ability for the student to enter their name again, and it will find the board for them automatically. Of course, you can have students log in too. So if you click is this gear icon, you can have the students, if you check mark this one, and then they'll use their Google ID to sign in, then they'll automatically get to it from wherever they are.
Okay. Are we able to keep the same code for our students? I think this is the classroom code, or will we have to get a new one every time we log on?
No, so most teachers use the same code for a few weeks. The boards do expire. So there is an expiry of 2 weeks on the boards if you're logged in. So we request you to keep an eye out. The expiry date is here in the manage boards. You can actually check when they're expiring, and you can easily extend it by clicking this button. So it will extend it by a month, right? And you can indefinitely keep extending it. The reason why we have this thing is because some people just create boards and never get back to them. So we just want to reclaim that storage space. That's it.
Okay. Can we use collaboration mode and teaching mode at the same time for small groups? Maybe we should talk
Yeah,
about
so
the group.
we can show you group boards. Let me show you group boards. We don't recommend, yesterday we found a bug actually where we have one tab open on teaching mode, one tab on collaboration mode. They don't work well, but the group boards work really well. I'll show you that in a minute. Is there anything else, or should we keep going?
Yeah, you can cover the group board if you want, and there's questions about just co-teachers as well.
Okay, so let me show you a couple of more things here, then we'll go to the group boards. One is the grids. We have built-in grids, so you can actually have a small grid, a big grid, handwriting grid, like a primary line paper. Kids love that. There's a programming grid, right? There's a music sheet also, right? So let me clear this. Right, there's a music sheet where you can use palette. So we have palettes of different objects as well. So if we hit this palette icon here, you can actually get to, let me move this on. Then you can get to different objects from here. There's math symbols, for example, you can put into the board. You can put in music symbols, right? Music teachers love this, right? You can actually teach music using this music theory. You can put alphabets, you have letters, you have uppercase, lowercase letters. We have a bunch of math manipulatives. So we have like this is again, all of these are requested by teachers. We can easily add new manipulatives here if you want us to add. We have protractors built in, rulers built in, axis. We have different shapes built in. We have 10 frames. We have place value charts. So like a whole bunch of things that are built into. We have fraction tiles. So math teachers love this. So you can see that they request for more and more things here. There's a 100 chart. I don't even know what these are, multiplication chart. But they just understand.
Can you please show how you do math equations, how you write this, because it's, I don't know, from the palette is not so.
Oh, you're asking how do we? So the math equation editor we are adding actually. So we'll have a really full functional math equation
But
editor.
it's too big. I don't know. It's not like writing. Let's say quadratic.
Yeah. So we don't have that yet, but we are going to add a math editor where you can use your keyboard to type math equations. This is for younger kids, right? So for younger kids, if they want to teach them things, that's what this is for. But we are going to add a full-fledged latex type equation editor this weekend.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I showed you a bunch of manipulators. There are stickers. Oops, sorry. Let me keep going. There are stickers built in. So we add Halloween. So we had Halloween stickers built in. So you can put Halloween stuff. You can, of course, you can animate all of these. Kids love that too, right? They made move like the cats fly around. We recently added Thanksgiving stuff as well, right? So we added some Thanksgiving stickers. We have reward stickers here. So if you want to, so this is also new. So you can actually give, if somebody is doing really well, so Praveen is doing some Diwali stuff, for example, I can give them a trophy right from here, from the grid view. So you can see that the trophy showed up on his screen, right? I can do the same thing for this student 5, for example. Oh, my camera is still off. Right? Okay, never mind. Yeah, so you can show, for example, this student here. Let me take them to a different page, right? And then you can put for example, a trophy right on their screen, and then it'll show up on their screen here. You can see it showed up here. So it's super easy to give rewards to people right from the grid view. You don't even need to join their board to help them on one basis. We also added US currency stickers, right? So if you want to teach kids about currency, coins, and dollar bills and so forth, we just recently added those too. And again, this is all very easy for us to add. So if you just send us a picture, it takes literally 5 minutes for us to add new things into the thing. So that said, let me show you the group boards. So what you do is that to get to this menu, first there's a timer built in as well. So if you want to start a timed activity, you want to give people 5 minutes to do something, you can start that, right? This timer thing shows up here on the side, but you can move it around if it's obstructing your view, right? The kids also see it on their screen. So there's a built-in timer, right? You can stop it by clicking this, or it'll sound an alarm when it goes off. The students can always request for help. So if the student is doing something and they're stuck, they can hit this hand button and it'll raise their hand, right? And then you can see it here, which student is asking for help, and you click that, it'll take you directly to their board, and then you can help them on a one-on-one basis, right? You can see that the student and teacher can collaborate with each other on the same board at the same time, right? And once you're done, you can go back to your board, right, to the front of the class. There are more things in this avatar menu, which I'll show you. So you click this, you say, you can make co-teachers. For example, there are, I want to make this student 5 a co-teacher. So you just click this button, it'll make them a co-teacher, right? You can see now they have ability to do the grid view. So they have the same abilities as you, as the teacher, so they can see everybody doing stuff at the same time, right? You can take away that co-teacher mode. You can do other stuff. You can make all the students follow the teacher. So for example, if you want to go page by page, make sure everybody is on the same page. We learned that sometimes teachers were teaching something on page 1, the students were on a different page. So you can hit this where they follow the teacher is set. So now all of the boards are automatically updated to the page that the teacher is on, right? So that everybody follows the teacher. Right? Sometimes this doesn't work if the network connections are bad. So the kids have to hit this refresh button to get reconnected. So just keep that in mind. You can lock boards as well. So you can lock. So this is interesting from if you're doing an assessment and you want to give a timed assessment. After that, you can lock your class, right? Or if you're teaching something, demonstrating something, you can lock your class, and where the teachers can draw, but the students cannot do anything on the board anymore, right? So this is locked by the teacher. And then the teachers can put the answer key here, and the students can always go back to their boards at any time and compare what they did right or what they did wrong, but they cannot make any active corrections. And you have the ability, both the teachers and the students have the ability to download this whole thing by hitting this button. You can download the whole class with your board as well as all the student boards in PDF format, and you can upload it to Canvas or Google Drive, or you can just download my board. The students have the ability to just download their board in PDF format as well, right? So you can do group boards. This is where you can have kids collaborate. So we can create a group board, for example. You hit this button called group board. You can select the kids that you want to be part of this group board. For example, Sid, Praveen, and the student 5 that I just created. hit this button, it'll choose those kids. We call it something, we call it group blue, right? And then you can see that now all the students are on the same board, right? They are collaborating on the same board. Now the students are on blue group. But even here, if I try to erase something, I cannot erase other kids' work, right? I can erase only the dark green lines that I have drawn, but I cannot erase any of the other kids' work which are collaborating with me, right? So you can work with them, but you cannot erase any of their work. Even if you clear the board, oh, it's in baby mode still. So I'll take that away. Right then, and then even if I want to clear the board, for example, it'll just clear my objects. None of the teacher objects or none of the other group members objects are clear. And from the grid view, you can again see the group, all the camera behind the kids. Now they're all staring at the group board. So you can see that both Sid and Praveen are on the group board, as well as, I'm sure if I were to expand this to 3 by 3, you can see this student 5 is also on the group board, right? And once you're done with the group activity, what you can do is that you can go back and remove the group, right? Once you remove the group, the kids are automatically taken back to their individual boards where they were doing their individual work, right? So all of that is pretty seamless. Sid, I'll pause for a minute.
Yeah, a few questions about setting up boards. So do we need to create individual student boards or do they have to do it?
Now the individual student boards are automatically created as soon as they click the link, and if their name and that cookie on their browser is not in the database, it will create a board for them.
Okay. Does the timer show on all the students' boards as well?
Yes, the timer shows everywhere. So if I start a timer, it will show it on all the student boards, and it'll sound a buzzer too when it goes off.
Can you show the math tools one more time?
Sure. So if you hit the palette, you can see there are basic math symbols, and then there are a whole bunch of math manipulators here. Right? So you can see all of them. There's place value disks. So again, there's number lines, there's arches. So we can easily add stuff that is not here, but we can add. You can use stuff that is already here as well.
Okay. Can a teacher remove a student in the middle of a session?
So right now we don't have the ability to remove a student, but remember the students they can only mess up their own boards. They cannot, nobody else can see what they're doing except you as a teacher.
Yeah. And so when kids go back from the group board to their individual board, is all that writing retained?
Yes. So all of the boards are automatically saved in this form. So even the group boards, right? So whatever is the group board, for example, is automatically saved here. So you can go back to any of them at any time and look at them.
And whatever they wrote on the group board does not automatically get reflected on their individual board, though.
That's right. So the group board and the individual boards are two different entities.
Yeah.
So they don't.
Yeah. And then for the dice tool, can letters be added right now?
Not right now, but again, we take requests. So if you follow us on Facebook, there's a voting thing built in where teachers can vote on stuff. So we can add stuff.
Does the tool support right to left languages like Hebrew or Arabic?
Yes. So Sid can show you in a bit where you can type Hebrew.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's not aligning to the right, so it's not.
Yeah, I think the typing still goes from left to right.
Oh,
so
I see. Yeah, it's not
no,
aligned.
The typing is okay. It's okay, but it's not aligning to the right.
Okay,
yeah, we can fix that.
You have to fix it.
Yeah. Let's see. There's a question. There's just one indication about the resize tool being too sensitive, so we can look at that as well.
So we recently changed the resize tool. So if you click the move and resize tool, right? If you click the object that you want to resize, it doesn't go away. Earlier it used to go away. Right now it will remain. So it will give you a chance to drag from the corner. So you can actually make it work really well with the new changes that you made. So you should try it. Just click the object you want to resize, and then it'll stay. So it won't, the outside rectangle doesn't go away.
But you have the other one that you can select and resize, and it's when you just touch it and it just flows away.
Yes. So this one we don't recommend for resize anymore, right? This one is the one you're talking about, right? Yeah, don't use that. Use the move tool to resize. It's much more friendlier, where you can drop from the corner and change sizes.
Yeah. There's a question about, let me see, I just lost that on my screen. Yeah, can we take a picture of something and send it to individual students for them to see and write on it?
Yeah, so the way you can do it is that you can join a kid's board, right? And then you can join a student's board and put the picture there, right? So you can do that too. So like, for example, if you have a emoji, a bit emoji, or anything of that sort, right? You can actually take the picture and put it on a student's board, right? So only that student will see it. Yeah, see.
How did you do that with the Control-C? Because Control-C doesn't work.
So to copy a picture, you're saying?
Control-C and Control-V doesn't work. Control-V doesn't work.
So what we'll do is that maybe we'll stick around at the end of the call. You can show us where you're struggling, and then we can look at the issue that you are facing individually, right? I think that'll help.
So, a question about if the students want to go back to continue their work, how do they get back on the same board?
So they can just click the link, and it'll essentially take them back to that board. They can do it in class, they can do it later. As long as they are using the same browser, it'll take them to that board again. If not, if they're using a different browser, then they can use their name and it'll take them back to their class.
Cool. And would you be able to show the bingo upload again?
Yeah, I will show you the bingo. It's super cool. So I wanted to show us. So that's one of the most interesting things. So you start another board, like I'll start another board, right? And what you do with the bingo is that you have and so for example, there's this animal, this is a teacher prepared bingo sheet, right? What it is that each of these tiles is a different bingo tile, right? Each page is a different bingo tile, and you can download it from multiple sites where you can create this. And when you tell whiteboard.chat to upload it, so you go to the book menu and say upload bingo, right? And then you can just search for that bingo, animal bingo file, and don't use the regular upload, use this upload bingo. And then it will, what whiteboard.chat will do is that it'll put this special object, and whenever students join, it'll give a random page to them from that file. So everybody gets their own bingo chart, right? So if you look at the grid view, see these two are different automatically. And then you can see how the kids are playing bingo, right? You can actually see them live playing bingo, and they can draw over it, they can highlight, they can put stickers, whatever else, right? But you can see who's winning, who you want to win, all of that stuff in real time, right? Which is super interesting. And each kid gets a different tile out of it. You can do any type of bingo. This is just a animal bingo. Teachers have done history, like 13 colony bingo charts, for example, right? They have done things of this nature. So there's a infinite type of bingos you can play with it, really.
Cool. There's one specific question about page deletions. So if someone uploaded a 10-page document, but they only want to use 3 pages or only specific pages, so when they deleted those pages, it left those pages blank. Can we delete the blank pages?
Yeah, not right now. There's a request to have the ability to make it more where you can insert and delete pages. We do not do that right now. If you delete a page, it just leaves a blank space in the middle.
Thank you.
All right. So I think that said, what I'm gonna do is that I'll give you guys 10 minutes to play with this. Let me give you the bingo board to play with it. So I'll send you the invite URL, and you should I'll post it in the Zoom chat. And if you click it, you can see what the student view of this would look like. Right. So you can join as students, and we can keep going because. With questions as well as with any other comments people have. Right. I think there is more stuff here. There is, like for example, on this 3 dots menu on the top right. Wow, there's a lot of people. So we support up to 100 people in a classroom, right? Each page, each board has 40 pages to it right now. But what you can do is that you can do other stuff from this menu. So for example, if you want to click this button, you can say, I want to, if you're doing assessments and you want to quickly go between each student, you don't want to go through manage boards, you don't want to go through the grid view, you can click this open glass boards and you can see all the people who are in this class and you can just click their name directly, for example, and it'll take you to their boards on that page number. So you don't have to do anything. You
can you repeat this? How you did it?
Yes,
now?
Sure. So if I go back to my page, for example, right, you can click this 3 dots menu here and say open class boards. Right, so it'll show you all the people in your class, right, and you can just click any of them. You select which page of theirs you want to go to, and you just select them, and then you can quickly go from one page to the next page to the third page without going through grid view, without doing manage view. This is again new, right?
Can teachers collaborate with students when they're on their page?
Yes, you can easily collaborate with students. So you can do one-on-one. You can type on a student's board. You can draw on the student board. There's a built-in chat as well, which I didn't show you, but you can use the chat. The chat is either between the teacher and the student or between a many-to-one. So the students can not talk to each other without chat as well.
On the question about are we going to send out a certificate to?
Yes. So please reply to Dhawal's email. We can send you a certificate of attendance.
How do you upload files directly from your Google Drive?
You cannot upload directly from your Google Drive at this time. So you'll have to download it. Again, that's a feature that is in people are requesting for, where you can upload directly from Google, but we don't have that yet. Yeah, so I can enable the chat, for example, here. So if I create the chat in this board, the bingo board that I have created with you guys, you can see that when I type, you all get it. But if you type, you won't see each other's replies, right? So that's where things are at. So if the student types a reply, they won't see it. So you can collaborate this way, or you can actually have, when you join the student's board, if you go to the grid view, yeah, you can click this, it makes it bigger, and you hit this join button and it will take you to the student's board directly, right? And you can collaborate with them on a one-on-one basis.
What was the make teacher option?
So the make teacher is to have a co-teacher. So if you have a co-teacher in your class and you want them to have the same view, right? You can just make them a teacher from this.
Okay.
You can also, some teachers asked us, sometimes their admins or their principals want to see what they're doing for assessment, right? So you can actually send them a direct link. So if you go to this gear menu, you can say show co-teacher invite and send them that invite. It's like, then they can just walk into your classroom and see what you're doing without you making them a co-teacher per se. There's another option here which I didn't talk about, which is essentially right now the default tool is a brush, but you can change it for younger kids. For example, if you want it to be a move or a resize tool, you can make that the default tool, so they can just use that for that exercise, right? Or the select tools, you can change that from here as well.
Pawan, there's a question about the bingo board. I think maybe the question was about how did you go to the bingo board, or maybe which website you you generated it from?
So again, there's a video that you can, Jenna, one of the teachers, has made this video too. But again, if you join our Facebook group or you ping us, I can send you a link to the video. So where you can create bingo boards on your own.
If you save a board that you had multiple students work on, and you want a separate group of students to work on that board, how do you remove the icons that show the students that were logged in from the original board that you saved? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, so when you do a save a copy, so when you go here and say save a copy, it'll create only a copy of your board, so only your lesson, none of the student boards, right? So that the second, so this is, let's say this is my section 1, right? And then I want to create, this section 1 will automatically get saved for me. I don't need to do anything, right? So the section 1 saves on its own. You see the section 1 is here, all you guys are part of it, right? But if I make another copy, so if I go here and click this and say save copy and call this section 2, right? This will just create a copy of my board, just the blank board without the students in it. And that you can use for teaching. TC section 2 doesn't have any students, right? So that's just for teaching another set of kids at that point.
So if you were to open that board in the top right-hand corner where it has all the little icons that showed, you know, either the picture or the initial of the students' names, that won't be there?
Yeah, so if I open section 2, like for example, right? So it won't be, it'll be completely blank.
Okay.
This is section 2, there's nobody here, right? Okay. I think we should get to the questions. Sid, do you have the list of questions? So what we'll do is that we'll stick around after this call for 30 more minutes. So if you have questions, if you want to spend time with us, if you want to give us feedback, we'll be here. But we'll stop the recording. I just want to make sure we covered the questions that you submitted as well.
Will there be another, will you have another webinar like this?
We do this every Thursday, 2 webinars every Thursday, 1 p.m. Pacific, which is 4 p.m. Eastern, and 4 p.m. Pacific, which is 7 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Pawan, I think we've pretty much caught up on all the Zoom chat questions, so you can switch to the webinar registration question.
Okay.
So for the ones that you have every Thursday, do we have to email you, or will it be the same Zoom link that this one was?
No, it'll be, you have to register because we close the registrations when it goes close to about 100 people. So you have to go to our website. On the front page itself, if you see, there is a register for webinar, just like you did for this one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
How do you share? We also do, if you want to do special webinars for your schools or districts, we'll be more than happy to do that as well. If you want to arrange that, send us an email. We do that all the time for specific schools, for a certain set of teachers, for districts. We do that too.
Will you have the same content if we join again, or is there like a step 2 to this, or a level 2 or something?
We are going to do, I think we are going to go level 2 too, where we show some, we don't have that yet, but I think very soon we'll start doing a level 2 too.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank you. So I think we covered this one. Share link, you can put it on Seesaw. Videos, I showed that too. Does it comply online privacy laws? Yes. How do we insert videos? I showed that too. Annotations, we showed that too. Google Meet, of course. Music teachers. So this one, the PNG thing we need to fix. So we will fix that. So I'm going to stop this recording so it doesn't go over.